Earlier, I spoke with Tennessee State Representative Justin J. Pearson about the deployment. Well, you represent the 86th district that covers parts of the city of Memphis. What is your reaction then to this increased National Guard presence in the city?
The increased National Guard presence in our city is completely unnecessary and unconstitutional. Article 3, Section 5 of the Tennessee State Constitution only gives the governor the authority to deploy the National Guard in cases of invasion or rebellion. That's not what's happening in our community. This governor has been governor for nearly 8 years and not once has deployed the National Guard. What we need are investments in resources. The National Guard here are supposed to be some sort of deterrence, but they've been given no authority by the state legislature in which I serve to be in our city. And this deeply worries me and concerns me because it's an overuse and abuse of power that's very consistent with what we're seeing in Washington, D.C. with this president and this administration.
Well, your state's governor, Bill Lee, cited, I believe, high crime in Memphis for this deployment of the National Guard. What do you make of that argument? And does the city need more officers on the streets to help control crime?
Look, our community does need more resources to help us to reduce crime, but the core problem is poverty. The root cause of crime is poverty, and we have a lot of poverty. Under 38% of the people and kids who live in our district are underneath the poverty line. We have a significant issue, but we need hundreds of millions of dollars, really billions, over the next 10 years to really address those root causes. This governor has passed laws that have made it easier for people to access firearms, and people have done that. And so we have seen an increase in crime, particularly gun crime, with the laws that this governor has supported and passed. He even signed a bill inside of a gun manufacturer, Beretta. And so you can't on one hand say we need to have more firearms in our streets, and then on the other hand say we have a crime problem that's been caused by those very actions, and so we need to overreach and not actually invest in communities. And the money that's been authorized for the use of our community, $100 million, is very specific to specific areas, but not dealing with violence intervention, not dealing with crime prevention programs that we know actually would work.
I guess it's been a bit more than a month now, the National Guard officially arriving there October 10th. Is it possible to gauge what kind of impact have they had? Has crime gone down? What have you seen so far there in Memphis?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is crime was already going down in Memphis and in our community before Donald Trump and Bill Lee decided they were going to come and occupy our city. And there's great organizing happening with Vincent Dario's 901, Free the 901, and organizations that are standing against the occupation and standing up for community. But it isn't just the National Guard that's our problem. That's unconstitutionally been deployed. We have over 1,500 federal agents in our community, particularly ICE, that is arresting people, separating families, allegedly using tear gas, most recently in an incident that separated two twins away from their mother and their father. And so there's a lot of trauma that's happening. And we are thinking not only about the pain of today that's being inflicted, but what happens on day one, the day they leave. What type of community are we left with, and what type of harms are we going to have to dealing with and addressing? And that's where we get to the root cause conversation that we need to have.
Memphis, you mentioned this. It's not the only city that's seen the National Guard deployed. Los Angeles, Portland, Chicago, here in Washington, D.C. The president, for some of those deployments, citing crime, out of control protests, even what he called rebellion. Why do you think the president has focused these efforts on those particular cities? And he did have a role, obviously, in calling for the National Guard to be deployed in Memphis, too.
That's right. The president is doing all of this because he is a wannabe dictator leading an authoritarian regime that has been supported by radical Republicans at every level of government. It has nothing to do actually with crime. It has everything to do with an abuse of power and running over the United States Constitution in order to do that, stripping away the rights, particularly of Latino brothers, sisters, and siblings while he's at it. And we have a responsibility as elected officials at every level of government to speak up and to stand up against this, because it's not far off to see that the National Guard will be deployed in more cities that are Democratic-led, that are Black-led during election time, as he's seeking to entirely reshape the way that the U.S. Congress looks. And so we have to realize what we are up against and see authoritarianism and fascism for what it is. And that's what we're experiencing right now in our country.
Just briefly, if you don't mind, before I let you go, the Trump administration argues it does have the legal authority, that it's looking to reduce crime rates. A federal judge recently disagreeing there and barring a deployment to Portland. There is a separate legal challenge, I believe, there over what's going on in Memphis. How do you expect that to play out?
I think the judges will find that the National Guard has been deployed illegally and against our Constitution. We even had a former Attorney General of the state of Tennessee, who was a Republican appointee, say that it's illegal for a governor to do this, and they took that off of the website. But I put it on mine, so we know we're going to win this court challenge. But the courts have been, unfortunately, bending toward the will of Donald Trump.